don't see anybody in here. Um, if you are in here, jump in the chat and let me know real quick. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Um, my name is Andrew Vickery. I'm a father of 3 little boys. They are currently 8, 5, and 3 years old. We live in Greenwood, South Carolina, and we are homeschoolers. Now, this training is called How You Can Start Homeschooling Tomorrow. And first of all, why tomorrow? Why not today? Well, there are some requirements that you have to meet before you can start homeschooling. So I just give you a day to take care of that stuff. So you take care of all that stuff one day, and then you can go ahead and start tomorrow. But you can always be learning. You don't have to wait for somebody else to tell you that it's okay to start learning. Before we really get into it, I want you to stop for a minute and think about this. Why do you want to homeschool? Be honest with yourself. Is it because you think it's the best thing for your children? Or is it the best thing for you? Do you feel like it's something you should do? Or do you feel like it's the right choice for your family? If I'm being completely honest, when it really boils down to it, I don't want to be tied to a school district schedule. I want to be able to do things as a family on our own, when and where we want to do them. So the next question I have for you is, have you seen any of these? You've probably seen a post on Facebook, a meme or something, and it says something like, here are the things they should have taught me in high school. You know, things like balancing a checkbook or changing a tire or doing your taxes and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I've seen it. I've seen it plenty of times. How about this? Think about all the stuff you did learn in high school. Do you use all of that stuff that you did learn in school in your adult life? I don't see anybody raising their hand. Now, when you get started homeschooling, if you Google how to homeschool in my state, I happen to be in South Carolina, there's a lot of information out there, and it sounds really complicated. And it is easier to just go with the alternative, which is send them to school. That's one thing you have to do instead of a handful of other things to make sure that you're staying within the legal requirements of the law. Now, there are a couple of questions that come up, reasons not to homeschool. One of them being, what if my kids get behind? What if they get behind? And I feel you. I understand. It's scary to think that a choice you make now could affect your children for the rest of their lives. But I would answer that with another question. Behind what? What measuring stick are you using? What if they get behind what kids are doing in public school? Most of the time, your kids don't get behind. They simply don't. They learn about the things that they're interested in, and they really don't get behind. But let's just say for a second that they do. Say your kids do get behind. Say you've got one who's supposed to be in fourth grade, but they're only reading at a first grade level. So what? So they're behind what the public school system says they should be doing or says they should be learning. They'll get caught up because they're going to get interested in something. And then they're going to study it for weeks on end. If your kids are in public school and they suddenly become interested in learning math, they can't sit and do that for hours on end or 2 weeks at a time. Every time the bell rings, they have to move on to another subject. One of the big questions is, what about socialization? I don't know what to tell you. What do you mean by socialization? Do you mean you want your kids to go to school and be like everyone else? Learn to deal with difficult people? School doesn't mimic real society. The closest thing in our adult society that's like the public school system is prison. You're only allowed a small amount of outdoors time every day. My kids are at the park all the time, at the playground, making friends, friends of different ages, friends their own age. They get their social interaction. One of the other questions that comes up or objections is, I don't think I'm qualified. In South Carolina, the law simply states that you have to have either a high school diploma or a GED. And that's it. And then you're qualified. If you don't think that's enough, then let me ask you this. Who do you think knows what's best for your child? You or the public school system? Why can't your child and you learn things together? We have to get away from the notion that learning only happens when it's structured or when it's taught or approved by someone else. The last objection that I want to talk about is that it seems really complicated. And it's not. It's not that complicated. The law states that you have to have a high school diploma or a GED to be able to homeschool your child. And you have to register with a homeschool accountability association. In South Carolina, that's it. And I've got a list of accountability associations that I'll drop in the chat for you. In South Carolina, you simply have to register with a Homeschool Accountability Association and hold a high school diploma or GED. Now, the state of South Carolina does have some stipulations for what a homeschool accountability association requires of its members. You have to document 180 days of school, which is the same number of days that the public school system has per year. You have to keep samples of your child's work. Um, your curriculum has to include math, science, reading, writing, and social studies. And we'll stop right here for just a minute because the word curriculum does not mean that you need to buy a pre-packaged product that was put together and approved by someone else. You can simply allow your child to learn about the things they're interested in and then document that learning within the confines of those subjects. You have to do a semi-annual progress report, meaning 2 progress reports per year at least. You can do as many as you want to. Those are the basic requirements to homeschool in the state of South Carolina. It does get a little more complicated if you need to, if your child is already in public school and you need to pull them out of public school, you need to send a formal withdrawal letter to your school principal or school district. And I actually have a form letter for you. I'm going to try to grab that real quick here and drop that in the chat. You can download, it's a PDF, you can download that, fill it in, print it out and sign it, or you can print it out and then fill it in by hand if you want to do that. But before you withdraw your child from public school, make sure that you are already registered with a Homeschool Accountability Association. Your association will give you a certificate or a letter to prove that you're registered and you meet the legal requirements to homeschool in the state of South Carolina. And then you can take a copy of that certificate or letter along with your withdrawal letter to the school district. And if you don't want to physically go up there and hand it to them, if you just want to mail it to them, make sure you send that with a certified mail and get a delivery receipt. Post office can do that for you. It's not very expensive, but you just want to make sure that they got it so you don't end up in truancy or your child counted absent from school for too many days and then you start having the battle with the school district over that. All right, that's pretty much it. I do want to show you real quick how we document learning because I know a lot of questions come up about that. But I am working on a short little video course showing you how to document your learning in math, science, reading, writing, and social studies. So we just have a 3-ring binder, and every day we fill out one of these little sheets, and it's just got, we got our required subjects up there at the top. And you can see when we started this year, day 1, we had a trip to the museum. And then as we flip through, what I've done to kind of document is to take and just print out some pictures. And you don't necessarily have to print these pictures. You can keep them on your computer or in your on photos or whatever you want to do. It's just easier for us to go ahead and print it out and put that those samples of work in there on the day that they did them. Again, I'm working on doing a full video course on how to document uh, your homeschool and keep your files in order, basically. That is going to be inside my membership over at schomeschoolers.com. So if you go to schomeschoolers.com/join today, all one word, um, you can just, you get a little bit of a bulleted list of what's included inside the membership. We have member forums where we can share resources with one another. Any of the things that I create, like the video course on documentation and the withdrawal letter, and I've got a copy of our daily um, journal sheet in there for you so that you can download. All of that will be available immediately for you when you become a member. Again, that website is all lowercase schomeschoolers.com. I look forward to working with you and learning together and helping you in your homeschool journey. I hope that we can share resources and encourage each other and help our children learn in the way that best suits them.